All right, guys, I'm going to show you how to prepare for your opponent, and we're going to use I am GothamChess. Looks like he is a weightlifter, and his name is Levy Roseman. So what you do is you go to your opponent's page. So say you're playing this guy over the board, and you think, how am I going to beat Levy? You go to their page, you click Explore Games. From this page, you can see a database of all the games that this player played on chess.com. So we're playing the white pieces against Levy. Let's put Levy as black, Gotham Chess. And now we see all the different moves that he has faced with the black pieces and the corresponding percentages. So you can see overall, white does pretty well with one knight f3, 43%, one b3, 40%, one g3, 41%. What does that tell you? Knight f3, b3, and g3 all tend to be fianchetto systems. Levy does not like playing against g3 and b3. So already we got good intel right off the bat. We haven't even explored down any of the lines. Let's take a quick glance at what he plays after e4. We see Caro-Kann quite a bit. I don't want to face the Caro-Kann. I think it's a very respectable opening for black. I know he has a course on it as well. Let's not go into e4 because he might play Caro. What about pawn to d4? What does he play here? d5 most likely. And if c4, he likes to take. Yeah, that's a little bit boring though, just going into a Queen's Gambit accepted. I don't want that either. Let's avoid d4. I want to stick with the stats and play one knight f3 because I'm finding intel here that he doesn't do well against this system. And also, I've played knight f3 before. So you can combine what you know from your previous experience, what lines you like to play, with the weaknesses of your opponent that you can find in their database. Okay, so let's start knight f3. We can see here he might already be a little bit uncomfortable because he doesn't have one solid system that he tends to consistently play. He mixes it up all across the board. G6 is the most likely, the modern defense. One thing I like about facing the modern defense is you can either play it like an e4 opening, so you could play e4 here, transpose it into a Sicilian or just a pure modern, or you can play it as a d4 opening, or you can even play c4, or you can play g3, right? So we have all of these options. We can be very flexible. Let's go back to the stats. d4, 41%, g3, 38%, e4, 41, c4, 40. I like d4 here. Let's go back to d4 because now he's not going to play his Queen's Gambit accepted when he's already played the fianchetto structure. Most common move by far, bishop g7. Let's stick with that. So here we have a few options. We can go back into an e4 opening, or we could play c4, keep it as a c4 or a d4 opening, excuse me. What do we want to do? Based on your own experience, base it on the stats. It looks like e4 he's struggling with quite a bit. Let's transpose this into a modern opening. So instead of playing one e4 and most likely walking into his Caro-Kann defense, we're going to start with knight f3 with this plan of transposing it into a modern opening. But we also have experience with knight f3 and one d4 so that if he plays something different, we'll be ready to go. But we're going to prep for his most common defenses. On to d6, most likely. Now at this point, we can see some of the stats are starting to inch up even higher for white, especially c3, 58%. That's pretty good. Bishop c4, 50%. And he tends to play lower rated players. That's why the percentages skew in black's favor. But if he's scoring under 50%, and with the initial positions, he was scoring like 60%, that means that he's struggling against these lines. All right, so let's go with pawn to c3. Just play it nice and solid. He must not like the solid setup. So we didn't end up going fianchetto because we saw the stats went this direction, going into this modern defense. Knight c6, he's played 9 games out of 11. Now at this point, stats start to break down a little bit. The numbers are getting low. So this is where you can kick into analysis mode. It's not in my screen share, but dropping down below where we see all the moves here, here's the analysis button. Toggle on the engine. See what it starts to think in this position. Knight c6. Wow, we have a +1 eval already against the modern defense. We can also toggle in the opening books here. And we can see that these are master level games now, 154 games. White is winning 50% and drawing 24%. That's a pretty big advantage for white. So now what I would do is I would start to hone in and find one specific modern defense line that I want to play as white. After you get that dialed in, then you start to back up and see what are Levy's other moves that he plays when he doesn't go into those specific lines of the modern. So you can start to build a tree in a chess.com analysis board, like have a new tab open, one tab where you're showing what he plays, one tab where you're showing master's database and having stockfish that you're ready to go. Get all those lines figured out. You'll be ready to face them. So feel free to use this when you play Levy or when you're ready to face your next over the board opponent or a match opponent coming up. Use the chess.com Explorer, grab that intel, and be as prepared as possible for when you go into your next match. All right, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.